I'm gonna unmute. There we go. Okay, so today we're gonna be talking a little bit about boundaries, what that means, how to set them, how to maintain them, something that is really pretty crucial to your mental well-being, your mental health, but it is something that feels a little bit weird to do, and I'll talk about why here in just a second. The biggest, and I know I say that a lot, but the biggest idea with a boundary is it's explaining to other people how they can love you. Okay, that sounds kind of weird to say, but there's a lot of love in the world. It can be platonic, romantic, it can be emotional, familial, like with you and your family. Respect has a certain degree of love with your bosses or your teachers or other important folks in your life. But the flip side of that is that American culture, American society really benefits from people kind of over-giving, over-delivering, doing more than they have the capacity to do, because it is a very kind of go type society that I know we already participate in. So this is going to be kind of weird to hear. I mean, I'm not that much older than y'all, but I do have quite a bit of experience living. Setting boundaries is the quickest way for you to kind of not only protect your peace in your life, but really attract the type of people, platonic, romantic, emotional, kind of attract the respect that you deserve and that you get to set. So with a boundary, the reason that I bring up all this stuff about like cultural force and love and kind of abstract things you don't typically talk about at 5 to 10 on a Thursday morning is because setting a boundary feels kind of icky because of the culture that we participate in. It feels weird to say this doesn't work by default. I mean, not just to cast a blanket kind of thing. But in a way, we've been kind of grown, we've been kind of socialized to think that standing up for yourself can go into a more negative direction. It can paint you as kind of a red flag type of person, whatever. I'm here to start telling y'all that I've just figured out how to set a boundary at my age, and I wish I'd done it way sooner. Some of you are probably already ahead of me on this. It's okay. A lot of today is very anecdotal, applying to Mr. Blakeney's life. You can take from it what you can, but today is something that is very set by like what you want out of your life. And boundaries are the ways that you, or a way, one of them, to get what you want out of your life. And when I say setting a boundary is describing to somebody how to love you, it's where you get to decide what makes you comfortable, uncomfortable, how you respond, how you communicate that to people. There's a lot of ways that this works. What's that, Captain? There's a lot of ways that this can improve your life, but you got to go through some of the ickiness to set them first. Because it is uncomfortable thinking about things that have hurt you in the past or could hurt you in the future and how you want to respond to that. So today's a little different than what I've done before and what we've done in class thus far. So I'm going to start by going to your thread for the day. We're going to look at this first link right here of understanding boundaries, specifically the healthy ones. Before I get into the depths, not really the depths, but the stuff that I have to show off today, just because you've experienced your boundaries being crossed in your life, it has happened to all of us, even if you didn't realize it, that doesn't make you any less of a person, okay? I'm not trying to say that boundaries are ways that you want to wall yourself off from everybody. That's not the goal of a boundary. I'm also not trying to say that if you've never set a boundary or your boundaries are different from someone else's, that there's an inherent sort of positive or negative like value that comes with that. Boundaries are set by you. You get to decide how people treat you, and by setting boundaries, that explains to them how they can give you the best possible relationship, platonic, romantic, emotional, what have you. So a healthy boundary, if you've not experienced this yet, you're going to kind of think back, you're going to notice some things today that like, oh, that made me feel gross. When you think back about how a friend treated you or how a boss talked to you or a teacher interacted with you, you're going to notice potentially sometimes or some instances that your boundaries have been crossed. That is okay. That's part of this process. Does not make you any less of a person or any less of a valued individual because this thing happened to you. Hi, welcome in. So Scrolling down, there's a definition of boundary, but we're going to focus on how to set them with 3 easy steps. No, I'm kidding. 3 steps that are really easy to, maybe not really easy, that's bad terms. Surprisingly simple. Let's say that. So step number 1, the reason it says don't raise your voice is because this is typically setting a boundary, communicating a boundary typically comes up in a more negative emotional situation, like an argument, like a disagreement, like something that's gross feeling. So this part right here, though, is what I want us to pay attention to. Step 1 is to be as clear and as straightforward as possible. You have to exactly outline what your boundary is, first to yourself, before you can outline it to other people. So I'll give you an example in Blakeney's life. A boundary that I've recently really started enforcing is I need my time respected. This is in a social sort of situation. This is removed from teaching. This is Blakeney outside of class. If my friends want to do something with me, I need to know what we're doing. I need to know where we're going, and I need to know when to be there. So those 3 things are requirements that I've set of myself and of my friends in order for the both of us to have the best possible relationship, if it's just me and another friend, right? So step 1 for setting this boundary is me telling myself that I will not do this activity unless I have all the information that I need. And that could be kind of icky. If you've got a friend who's maybe not a great planner, or maybe a friend who's a little bit more impulsive, and they want to do something because it's fun and that's what they sound, or what sounds good to them. If I don't have the information, I don't feel comfortable going. And that feels gross to turn a friend down sometimes. I mean, that's mostly me projecting, but like, you just want to be as clear and as straightforward as possible. So Mr. Blakeney's example of this is, I will not go out unless I know where we're going, what we're doing, and when to be there. Okay? So then the next part is to state your need or request directly in the terms of what you'd like, rather than what you don't want or don't like. So what does that mean? The way that I used to approach this step 1 of I need information before we hang out is I would instead, I'll give you an example. Friend A says, hey, let's go to this party on Saturday. Okay, so I know when, but I don't know what or where. And I would say, okay, previous Blakeney would focus on like, well, I don't want to do this, or I don't like the blah, 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 right? I would, instead of dancing around the actual thing that I wanted to say, which was, you need to tell me more information, I would instead be concerned about like what the person is feeling and ignore my own feelings, because this boundary is something that I wasn't enforcing very well. Step 2 is to state your need or request directly in the terms of what you would like. Whatever you or your boundary is, you need to be clear on what you actually need out of it. This step is important because it's protecting your own emotions. Again, back to that American culture note, it's very easy for other people to kind of pressure you into doing things, overdoing things, because it's what they need, but it's not what you need. So stating your need directly in terms of what you'd like, instead of dancing around or concerning what the other person is going to think or feel, you just need to talk about you. You are the only thing that you can control in your life. There's so much of life that you're going to try to control, and it's going to fail. All you can do is your influence, your things that you do are going to be what yields you the best results. I hope this is making sense so far. And then this is the most uncomfortable part of setting a boundary, is the literal discomfort that comes with standing up for yourself. So one of my best friends, love him to death, is a terrible planner. Okay. And when I started learning as an adult, this is something that will come with time for you guys as well. You've probably already experienced it, but the annoyance and the lack of patience comes with time. My friend's a terrible planner, and we would try to do stuff and it would never work out because I kept ignoring my own boundary of I need more information before we hang out. It was really uncomfortable the first couple times I had to turn this friend down because I love this friend. And it was really uncomfortable because I didn't want to upset them, or I didn't want to change the balance of our friendship, or I didn't want them to be mad at me. Now, whole laundry list of things that I was uncomfortable with, but I needed more information because I was ignoring something that I needed. Once I started really thinking about this boundary, I said, no, I'm not hanging out without this information. And I had to sit in the discomfort of knowing that I denied a friend something that was new to me, right? But as a result, as you practice this, right, think about it like working out. You know, you have to do it consistently in order to grow. The discomfort that comes with it is not the end of the world. It is okay to be a little bit uncomfortable. It is okay for people to be a little bit uncomfortable with the thing that you're saying, if the thing that you're saying is to protect your own peace. If this is a boundary that you've set, the people who will respect it are the people you want in your life, and the people who will disrespect it will eventually find their way out of your life. And that has happened to me plenty. So don't worry that it's a good thing. As scary as it sounds to the idea of losing friends or relationships changing, the relationships that come after, the ones that actually respect your time, respect your boundaries, respect you as a person, are a lot more fulfilling. Which is why I'm having you guys think about this now. This is kind of hard to hear, I understand. You know, if you've thought about some of the ways your boundaries have been crossed in the past, or ways that you could, you know, that you've maybe been a people pleaser or in a codependent sort of situation, it's really uncomfortable and it's scary to look at. But it is important to look at still. And that the ease of looking at it comes with time and with exposure. As you grow up, you'll get plenty of opportunities to be uncomfortable. It gets easier, I promise. So this is kind of a heavy day so far. Not exactly, but it's got some heaviness, some weight as compared to other days. Let's close this. That's that understanding how boundaries work and why they're important. The next step of a boundary is keeping it up. That's where the discomfort will start to fade. That's where the uncomfortability of things changing, that's where the newness starts to happen, is in the maintenance of a boundary. But before you maintain a boundary, you got to set a boundary. This is going to walk you through just the benefits of a boundary like I've been talking about here, as well as how to maintain them in a little bit more of like a scientific approach. But they all boil down to two big questions. Question number one is, what do you need? And question number two is, how are you going to stand up for what you need? Which is what we lead into for assignment PD.4. The last link here is a YouTube video that I found really enlightening about this whole process. You can see I was pre-watching it, so it's I stopped about 5 minutes. But this is another way of explaining how to set a boundary, how you maintain those boundaries, and how you can feel enabled enough to keep them up and to protect your peace, protect your own self-esteem, your own world that you live in. This is another way that you can see it if you have not been able to kind of keep up with what I'm showing off today. All of this is to say, we'll wrap it up right now. What I want you guys to do is to set a boundary for your school or your work life, one boundary, and one boundary for your personal or social life in the text box here. If you're finding yourself struggling to kind of think about what you need or how you want that need to be communicated, there are 4 guiding questions here that will lead you to setting a boundary. But you do need to answer all of them, and you do need to answer them honestly. So I'm going to read this word for word here, so at least you guys all hear it. You get to draw every line in your life. You set the rules and you protect your peace. By learning and practicing your boundaries now, it will improve your school life, your work life, your relationships, and your self-esteem. There's a secret part on that. It's over time. This is a process you have to bear with. It's a muscle you have to exercise. I know it's like another thing you have to do on a to-do list, but getting into the habit, just like we got into the habit of budgeting, getting into the habit of setting and understanding your own boundaries will attract the right people to your life. It will blossom your life into this more beautiful sort of thing. I know, probably losing you guys here, but anyway, I'll quit talking because I think you guys get it. So answer these 4 questions for each of your school work life boundaries and your personal social life boundaries. If you're finding yourself stuck, you can also think on this and answer it at home or tomorrow. But it is something that I want us to start thinking about, and something that we will keep kind of revisiting as the year winds down. We have a calendar month left of Blakeney stuff. After June 7th, we're done with everything we need to be done with. So I'll just leave it at that. So I'll let you guys get to work on this. I appreciate you listening. Be uncomfortable, or be comfortable being uncomfortable. That's how you get the best out of your life. Trust me, I've made a lot of mistakes, so I know it well. Okay, thank you guys for listening.